Yo! So this is our last full day in Kyoto and our 5th day here. We're going to try to make the most out of the cherry blossoms by walking around near the rivers and near the streams and in the shrines to try to catch the trees that are in full bloom. So that is our plan for today and also tomorrow before we head to Tokyo. Before coming to Japan for the cherry blossoms, we were very obsessed with the exact full bloom and the initial bloom dates. However, all the trees bloom at different times depending on whether or not they're in the shade, whether or not the area that they're in is cold or warm. And so the full bloom date doesn't really mean much in terms of the overall viewability of the cherry blossoms. It just depends on where exactly you are and which area you are in to see the trees in full bloom. It may seem like we are overly obsessed with the cherry blossoms, but the reason why we're so excited to see them in full bloom is because we are extremely lucky to catch them in Kyoto at this time because they are blooming around 10 days earlier than normal. And we were expecting to see them in full bloom in Tokyo, but we are not in Tokyo for another 2 days, so seeing them in full bloom in Kyoto is something that we are very excited about. Right now we are at Yasaka Shrine and it's so peaceful here. There's barely anybody and the blossoms are in full bloom. I think this is a stark contrast to Tokyo where it would be a lot more crowded compared to Kyoto. We made our way to Arashiyama. It's a lot more crowded here, but it's still very beautiful with the river and the sakura blooming by the river. In Arashiyama, we went all the way up to the Kameyama observation deck on the top of the Arashiyama Park, and we got to see a really nice view of the river along with all of the blooming sakura on the mountain. And it was well worth the trek up the hill. We're now on our way to Arashiyama Sakura. It's a restaurant in the suburbs of Arashiyama near the Arashiyama Bridge. And so on our way to the restaurant, it's also very beautiful. It's right next to the river and there are many cherry blossom trees in full bloom. We just completed our third and final Kyoto Kaiseki meal for lunch at Arashiyama Sakura. It's a restaurant in the suburb area near the main Arashiyama area, and we had an amazing meal there. For the price of $65 per person, we were treated very well. The owner was very nice. His meal was very similar to the other 2 kaiseki meals that we had at Nakazen and Tozente. However, this one was didn't have as many fancy ingredients, and it was still very good. It was one of the most memorable meals that we've had. I mean, all 3 kaiseki meals that we've had in Kyoto were extremely memorable for the service, the hospitality, just the overall feel and comfort that we had with the meal, considering how traditional it is. And we can't really say enough about the 3 kaiseki meals that we've had, including this one. We really felt like a deep emotional connection with the meal, with the place, with the owner. I mean, these are experiences that really we haven't had before anywhere else. And so the meal itself is very seafood based, and not everybody will enjoy this type of meal because you have to really enjoy sashimi, sushi, and sometimes a little bit of a bitter flavor, but this is the traditional Kyoto flavors and palate. So we personally we enjoy these kinds of flavors, and so we really enjoyed the meal overall. So once again, it was Arashiyama Sakura. It was very enjoyable, and it was around $65 per person. the things that stood out for us was that the owner was just so nice. He really tried to help us with his limited English, which was the same with all of our other Kaiseki restaurants. And each time it's just you feel the kindness and the generosity of the owner. The final part of our Sakura expedition for today is the Philosopher's Path. The Philosopher's Path is probably one of the most iconic Sakura streets in all of Kyoto, so we're excited to see this for the first time today. During the Sakura bloom, you really only have maybe 2 days to catch the full bloom, and after the 2 days, the green leaves on the tree start popping up, and the Sakura trees are not as beautiful as they are without the leaves, in my opinion. The Philosopher's Path is one of our longest walking streets for viewing Sakura that we've experienced. I think it's around 1 kilometer in length, and the whole street is lined with Sakura trees along with the stream underneath, and it was a very beautiful walk when the Sakura are in full bloom. It's definitely the best Sakura viewing experience that we've had by far, and it's actually one of the most beautiful Sakura viewing spots in all of Japan. Not according to us, but according to a lot of sources I've read online. So now we're going to be headed towards our Tempura Omakase dinner, and this is around 5 p.m. It's only been about 4 hours since we ate the Kaiseki lunch, so hopefully we can fit the Tempura Omakase in our stomachs. Our final big meal in Kyoto was at Gion Fuji. It's a Tempura Omakase restaurant near the Hanami Koji Street. And the meal was pretty expensive, about $145 per person. The meal overall was very good. We can compare it to the other tempura omakase we had for lunch 2 days ago, where that meal was only about $40 per person, and this meal is definitely overpriced if you compare to the one that we had for lunch 2 days ago. However, this meal had a Kyoto Wagyu beef and also a scallop tempura that was very memorable, and overall we would say that we don't regret eating there or anything, but then again, if you do plan to eat at a tempura restaurant like this, keep in mind that it's some of the flavors are more on the Kyoto kind of sashimi side, so be aware that if you're not used to that kind of food, you might not be it might not fit your palate. Some of the food might not fit your palate. So overall, we enjoyed it. We find that there's nothing, overall every high-end restaurant that we've had in Kyoto doesn't really disappoint us, and that's one of the things that we are very happy about in terms of the cuisine here, and we're glad that we've had such a good food experience in Kyoto. So that concludes our last full day in Kyoto. We really enjoyed walking around, seeing the cherry blossoms today, and enjoying the nice weather today. It's not too hot, not too cold, and now we're going to be heading back towards our Airbnb and heading to Tokyo tomorrow evening. Thanks for watching.